Boom, boom, boom. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in on the Reinventing the Tattoo Network, here for episode 2 of Let's Talk About Feelings with Robbie Ripoll. So without further ado, how are you, Robbie?
Hey, everybody. As my friend Kyle just said, it is I, Robbie Ripoll. I am here to talk about feelings. Today, I have a really cool guest that I just recently got introduced to through a business program that I've been taking. So I'm not sure if a lot of you or any of you are familiar with a tattooer named Matt Clemmer. He started Tattoo Business Mastery, which is a class. It's like a mastermind group of like-minded artists that want to grow and progress. I'd taken the first round of class, and then he introduced Next Level, which is more coaching for a full year. So in the Next Level program, just one day somebody was going through something and he's like, hey, let me see if I can get my friend. So he pulls on Ashley Mondor, who is our guest today. And she's just like this brilliant little, super peppy, happy, smiley, small person with a great big fucking personality and these really cool red frame glasses. And so she jumped on and just kind of was kicking it with us. And I loved her so much that I hired her to coach me directly after we got off that, because I love having a number of different coaches in my life. You know, when you think about it, athletes, there's always coaching there. You know, there's always a high level of coaching and a multitude of coaches. So if you look at your life like, you know, an Olympic athlete, there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of coaching. So she's one of the humans that I've brought on to coach me and help guide me through this thing called life. So she is on her way here. And in the process of that, I'm going to talk about a few things that I've gone through this week. As me and Kyle as I just told Kyle before we jumped on, I had an artist leave my studio. And it was painful because, you know, you put a lot into your artists. And then if it turns out to not go amicably, no matter how bad you want it to, it can still suck and it can still fall apart a little bit. So I had this whole big life ego challenge where I felt like everything was falling apart and I'm failing everyone. And, you know, I'm an imposter and who the fuck do I think I am? You know, talking about the rad movement and telling people how to live their lives and coaching people and like, you know, and these lies I was telling myself, pretending I'm a good person. That's the weird thing when I started to believe that I was pretending I'm a good person. And I had a lot of confirmation that I am a good person, but I had a lot of things that were coming up that made me feel like less of a good person. You know, there was, you know, social media posts get made and people, you know, get salty and it just sucks. And then you have to control how you react to that. And my biggest problem that I kept going through was feeling like I wasn't reacting properly, or I wasn't, or even the bigger problem was I felt like I was a failure. You know, I felt like I failed the artist that left. I felt like I failed my studio. And then as a direct result of that, I started spiraling and started not living my best life and being my best self with my business partner. And, you know, so I've got to clean up some messes that were made. And the biggest mess that was made was in my brain of thinking my studio was going to go down, thinking things were going to fall apart completely, and getting caught up in that worry with the monkey mind, you know, telling you that you're not, you know, you're not doing anything right. And so it was a really hard week. And one of the things that kept coming up was tears. I fucking cried a lot. I cried a lot. Ashley, you're here. I didn't even see you. I've been waiting for you to pop in. Oh my God. So and as I switch over and see Ashley here, you're doing this. Because I was saying I cried a lot. So as I promised, this wonderful little human with a giant presence and these wonderful red frame glasses, Ashley Mondor. So yeah, dude, let's just jump into crying a lot.
I love you so much. I also want to just take a moment to commend you for being so vulnerable, open, and honest and sharing that, and especially what you've just been navigating. So first, tears are what? Releasing cortisol. We're mainly water bodies, right? So for you to allow those feelings to flow instead of being stuck, stagnant, holding on to it, you're like, fuck it. I'm going to release it because I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, like totally have to, because like if you hold on to that shit, you explode, man, and like you fall apart. And it was weird because I was having these moments where like I'm letting it out, right, but I'm also reacting. So I'm like crying and yelling and going between crying and yelling and making accusations and being scary, the scary Robbie that I'm afraid of being, because I know when I'm scary, that's when people don't want to be around me. Who wants to be around a fucking horror show all the time? You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to have that feeling of falling every second of their fucking life. You know, so it's been a wild ride, man.
Well, and I also, what I think is fascinating is just listening to you retell your story and the things you've gone through. Your first response was to catastrophize. And I want to just acknowledge you, because that's the most loving thing you could do in order to protect yourself and to keep you from pain, is to go out to that place. Because it's like, if I can go out there first, then I can control it and I have it like under wraps. And maybe I don't have to feel this pain and this rejection and being outcasted and I'm a fucking failure. But you let it just. So I want to acknowledge you for catching it and seeing it, and then also allowing yourself to flow through it no matter what.
Thank you. Like, that's huge, dude. Like, thank you so much. Like, and it's weird that you can even, reframe it as catastrophizing is a loving way to handle it, because it feels like a failure way to handle it, right? You're like, fuck, I'm making such a big deal and I don't know what to do. But like knowing that is a loving response is nice, because you don't feel loving, right? Like, that shit's scary, dude.
Wow. Yeah. It's so scary. And like, what are you most afraid of happening if you are the fullest expression of you? What are you afraid of happening, and what do you make failure mean? Because really, from my perspective, it's the opportunity to be like, oh, here's an energy leak here. Oh, I could be a better version of myself here. Oh, I'm being invited to call to rise, to be more loving here. And so this is just the journey of you, right? Being more loving to yourself through the process of having these opportunities surface for you.
Dude, spot on, right?
Yeah, very well put.
Yeah, and like, so that's one thing I want to hear from your perspective. You are like an excellent reframer. So tell us a little bit about like how you became a reframer, because it didn't happen easy, right?
No. Part of the thing, so actually it's interesting, my entire life in my family, they've called me like the bright side, because I've always been able to find the love. And I went through master NLP practitioner training, which is neurolinguistic programming. So basically the language of your mind and how you speak and communicate with your subconscious mind. So while I could always see the more positive, it wasn't grounded, because I'm like, woo, oh my God, yeah. But then the other flip side is, how can I ground this wisdom? So for me, the reframe is, I'm always seeking wisdom and lessons so that I can be a better human. So everything is always, and you've probably heard this in the personal development space, everything is happening for you, not to you. Truly, in every single fucking instance, I'm looking for the wisdom for me.
Yeah. But, so you're just kind of taking it like, yeah, fuck it.
Right. Well, and I'm like, what's in this for me? What's in this for me? There's always love, even if there's pain or a circumstance. And I think too, when you allow yourself to process without going to a downward journey or a downward spiral of self-loathing, self-hate, self-betrayal, it's like, okay, actually, I'm just going to pause for a moment. I'm going to feel this shit that's coming up. What's the lesson for me? What's the wisdom?
Yeah. It's funny because I read earlier this week in a book by Louise Hay called Life Loves You. I love her. She's the best. she's kind of like that grandma that like I never got close with. So like she tells me how to live my life real good, and I listen. But one of the things that was said there was treating life like you chose everything that happened to you, and like, whew, like that's wild, right? Like that's like super wild. So if you can reframe in that fashion every day, like you get to live a much better life, don't you?
Oh yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
part of it too, if you think about, we all have this thing in our brain called the reticular activating system, which means where you focus and put your attention energy is where you're going to see more of it. So you actually have to train yourself to see the love, to see the positive side, even if it's excruciatingly painful. So for you, the reflection is, I went through this process of having someone that what you're telling me is, I love them. I wanted them to be in this business. I had a relationship with this person, right? And they decided to leave. So for you, what would be the reframe? Is it, this is the opportunity for me to be a better leader, to be more loving, to trust my intuition, to harness communication skills, right? So everything is for you.
Right. Yeah. And you know, like it was one of those things where it felt like the road had ended for all of us there. So it was like keeping it together wasn't holding it together. And then you're right. I've had the opportunity to say, okay, well, what could I have done? What could I do differently? You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting to figure out that, you know, as Matt says, life is happening for you, not to you. You know, I'd love to see how this plays out in your favor. So it's interesting to like sit there and be stuck in it and then realize, holy shit, this is actually a good thing. This is something beautiful. This is something new. This is something brilliant, something different that I've not been good at navigating prior. You know?
Hey, real quick, speaking of navigating, I'm the tech guy. Hey, everybody. Whoever's streaming out, if you could put it into gallery mode, then we could see all the other people that are on the call. Hey, Robbie.
It should
hey,
already
Ashley.
be there on gallery, but yeah.
That's weird when I was, okay, cool. Awesome.
Okay, cool.
Well, I see that we have a question in text, and I've been seeing this human in a lot of the tattoo business mastery groups. What is your name? Because I see AZSJ. I don't know how to refer to you. And hello.
Hi. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to turn on my camera. It's my first
Oh,
time.
no, you're good. Yeah, go ahead. Turn it on.
Yeah, like the whole, I want it to be like open forum for everybody to share and just kind of, you know, go and grow from here. Talk about our feelings and shit.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I am in tattoo business mastery and graduating tonight. So I'm kind of all over the place commenting on all of that stuff. So yeah, but my name is SJ, or it's Sarah Jean, but everyone just calls me SJ. And then I live in Arizona, and my handle on everything is essentially AZSJ.
Got it. That's it, girl. Branding and shit. And then I see we have Laura Gregory in here as well.
What's up, everybody? Hey, Gabe. I just so happened to see a link from Gabe, so here I am. Yeah, today's a beautiful day. I live in Wisconsin. It's absolutely gorgeous. I got on the bike for like 15 miles, cleared my head a little bit. Yeah, did a little podcast with Gabe this morning. And,
Hell yeah. Gotta love it.
It is pretty amazing how the physical exercise will actually help the brain. I hate that. I really hate that.
It helps a lot.
It's
Something like, I guess, the blood going through the stuff, maybe.
Yeah. And it's weird. I find that when I exercise too, I tap into an ability to be more vulnerable and give less pushback to a lot of things. You know, like if somebody's got something you need to hear, if they're going to tell you while you're exercising your dick off, you're probably going to be like, all right, I surrender. What do you want from me? Let's get this all over with. Hell yeah. So Sarah, SJ, what's the question you have?
Well, good question. Let's see. Do you guys ever dive into like imposter syndrome and how to overcome any of those kinds of feelings? Because I'm kind of navigating my way through that currently.
Ashley, don't you specialize in that, dog?
Yeah, I do really. So thank you for being here with me. And SJ, to like see your face, right? My God, I see you everywhere, and it's like. So my first question for you would be, tell me where you're feeling imposter syndrome.
I think it's just like in this tattoo industry, I feel like I kind of started out this journey very alone and on my own. I didn't have like a traditional apprenticeship where like someone kind of took me under their wing and introduced me to people. Like all of my networking, all of my friendships have been because like how much I've really pushed myself through like networking and doing these workshops and doing these courses and all of that. And sometimes I just feel like I like bought my way into the industry instead of being like recognized for my hard work, because I've essentially made most of my friendships through paying for workshops and not really like, nobody was like, oh, I'm just going to follow you because your art is amazing. It's like, oh, I know who you are. I've seen you in like 17 of the different workshops, so I guess I should follow you by now, you know? So I'm kind of struggling with that a little bit.
I'd definitely consider that
Yeah.
putting in the work for sure. Because that just means that you're showing up and taking the initiative to learn everything.
Oh yeah, I'm literally known as like the note goat in this industry by a lot of people because I take so many notes. It's kind of ridiculous. Like every workshop I've ever done, just jam packed with notes.
Yeah, but
And
that's like
definitely showing up.
I remember meeting an artist I really looked up to one time, and he was like, "Oh, you're the funny guy," and I was like, "Oh, cool," because like I'd take these photographs of like me on the wrecking ball naked, like Miley Cyrus. I did a fucking champagne bottle of Kim Kardashian. So like I've done these goofy things, and when I was met as the guy that was the funny guy, like it broke my fucking heart, man. But you know, at the end of the day, when you're really looking at it, without all the tattoo god ego bullshit that we carry around with us, man, I'm fucking lucky. I get to be the funny guy. I get to fucking bring joy to motherfuckers, and they probably dig my artwork too. But the thing is, I stand out because I'm funny, because I bring them joy. You know, like that'd be like me getting bummed out when people are like, "Oh, you're that motivational guy, Robbie," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I wish you knew me for my art, though." Like, dude, be proud of yourself for being able to step into that. And I want to let Ashley take over because I know Ashley's got amazing things to say here. So
I really love that reflection, Robbie. Thank you so much for that metaphor that you shared. It's really grounding. And SJ, for you, I'm wondering why you're making it a bad thing that you're excellent with networking and marketing and connecting with people.
Well, I just think it's the like just almost like I have to pay for the friendships kind of aspect of it. Like once I'm in the group and stuff, like we're all having a good time and chatting, hanging out, you know, doing the work and all that. But it just feels like I really wouldn't have made any of those connections if I didn't just like pay for the class to be able to make those connections, you know? So it kind of feels like I buy my friends in a way, but even though like I don't look at my friends like that. Like I value their relationships and input so much, you know, but I just feel like maybe I don't belong because I just paid my way into this. I don't know how to.
I mean, if I could hop in on this one real quick, like not real business people, right? But like real business people often will buy their way into a mastermind group, right? So like people pay $5,000 a month or whatever to be in a group of peers that are doing business, right? So I think you might be conflating like friendships and networking professionally, right? Like, you know, social media kind of makes that crossover weird, but like, you know, so, but for instance, you know, paying your way to be into a group of awesome individuals is something that regular business people will do all the time without any sort of fear of anything. And if there's real friendships that come from that, then that's cool. And I could tell you, like, there's plenty of people that try to buy their way in that suck and they don't get the same kind of traction.
Can I say something too? Didn't mostly everyone else also pay their way to get in as well?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I worked my ass off. It was sweat equity. I didn't pay money, but I fucking put in time.
Yeah, and I think the I've experienced things like that in my past too. Like what type of real relationship is this, but at the same time, maybe they recognize that you also put value into something like they do, and you kind of are willing to take time and money and effort and time away from family or your own art to be there like they do, and they can kind of recognize a similar, hustle. Maybe not hustle, but a similar drive.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Me and Ashley wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for the fact that I'm in next level TBM. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't discount our relationship because I pay, so many thousands of dollars to be there. But way I look at it, shit, man, these relationships mean more because I paid to be here. Like, I'm going to fucking make sure that I get something out of this because the financial investment is too great to not get some shit out of this. So like, yeah. I'm like, you're killing the game because you're doing this, and consider yourself fucking lucky, dog. When I came into this shit like 30 years ago and stuff, my dad was my mentor. So that's how I came into the game, right? I could feel bad because I was born into it, but my dad hit me in the head so many times that I don't feel bad. I paid my way in, you know, like, and at the end of the day, you have the platforms. Bro, we didn't have this shit, what we're doing right now, 10 years ago, even, you know, and like, so you're lucky that you're in tattooing when we've actually learned how to be real people rather than just outlaw fucking morons, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I've heard some horror stories and I'm like, wow, I can't imagine like coming into this 30 years ago when you had to be so like tough and hard and a badass and like smack people around. And I don't know. I'm just like, I just want to take notes and draw and do tattoos. I don't want to be mean.
Dude, and that's what's up, man. And like imposter syndrome is real as fuck, you know, like, and it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Like, I almost quit the podcast 10 times today before it even happened, you know?
Gosh. Wow.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, you know, I've got that a bit as well because like I'm still new to everything, and here I am part of the reinventing crew and also working at Red Tree here now. And you know, it's like I worked my way up to get there, but it's like a lot of people are like, well, who the fuck is this kid? He doesn't know anything. Why should he be there, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's like, you know, SJ doesn't have as many followers. Like, who is this kid? And it's like, I busted my ass and it took me a while.
Exactly.
You know, the followers.
Yeah, yeah, if you put in the hard work, people will notice and pick up.
Yeah, I'm like, because if I really think about it, like if 977 people like walked into my room right now, I would be overwhelmed with the amount of people there. So it's like, to me, that seems like such a big number, you know, and to others, it might just be like, yeah, whatever. But I'm like, at least some of those people, like they've all followed my journey from the beginning. That all started with like painting and drawing, and before I even picked up a tattoo machine. So it's like really cool to see some of those faces still pop up, and they're usually the first ones to pop up whenever I post something. So it's like, I know those relationships are genuine, even though that number is small. But I think I was just really struggling with like buying my way into the industry. But I guess like you said, everybody else did.
You know, one way or another. The other thing that is worth keeping in mind is like tattooing, who gives a fuck? Right? Like you tattoo your clients, you show them a great time, you give them a great tattoo, they come back with their friends and family until they die or you die, right? Like that's about as simple as it can get. And like everything else is superfluous. Like, and you can use it. There's obviously lots of things that we can do, but the things that will work are the things that are focused on you delivering the best experience and tattoo you can for your client. Who gives a fuck what everybody thinks?
Yeah. And one thing I learned through Tattoo Business Mastery is the past couple of years, I think I've been focusing on the wrong thing. Like instead of focusing more on my clients and making sure that they have the best experience, I've been focusing more on gaining the attention of like my peers and making sure like, you know, they see me for my art. And I'm like, you know, I'm really glad that I took Tattoo Business Mastery because it really helped me dial back into like acknowledging and valuing those relationships so I don't focus on the wrong things, you know? So now I'm putting my clients first again, which has been really great. But then I still find there's certain days where I don't know, I just feel like I don't belong. But I know that for a lot of people.
I feel like everybody feels that same way. I have a friend, I think he's like 2.5, 3 feet tall. He's got no arms. His hands come out of his shoulders. He's been on kidney dialysis his whole life. And if he like decides to go and live on the road and be a jackass young tat god, he can die. So like he's got a lot at stake with his life and all his decisions. And when I was tattooing him one day years ago, he said to me, he's like, bro, I feel like such a fucking alien around people. And like, I looked at him, I was like, homie, like you saying that to me right now is probably the most fucking normal human thing I've ever heard. Like, and like, dude, we got deep on that shit because it's I'm like, dude, you're over here in this like terribly fucking difficult situation and you feel the exact same way as me. Like, we all go through it to such a level. I mean, I'm sure Ashley, even though she's not in the tattoo world, still feels the same way with her peers. And like, it's all so much, it's all so human. We're all so fucking human. Mm-hmm. You know, like me and Gabe always joke about feelings. He always says he smells or hears or thought he stepped into some feelings when I walk around. And it's also interesting to see him get into his feelings sometimes and be a human, because, you know, my friend who's so fucking linear and so brilliant and so much more, you know, tech-minded than, you know, free-spirited, whimsical, art-minded, still has feelings. Like, we all fucking have feelings and we all go through these trials and shit, man. And it's too much for us to bear at times. Like, dude, there was times this fucking week that just passed where I had to cook dinner and like fucking keep busy so much because the thoughts that were coming in were so similar to the thoughts you get when you go through divorce or something. Like, you know, you can't breathe and you're like, fuck, I'm a failure. So you got to keep busy. So you clean the house, you cook, you know, you do something, you provide value in whatever fucking way you can, because you feel so fucking helpless and you don't feel like you have value. Mm-hmm. You know, like, we all go through all these things in so many ways. Don't make your business be something that you view negatively, because I don't give a fuck how you got on my radar, homie. Like, the fact that you have 4 letters in your fucking handle, that stuck out to me, made me ask questions. And then when you popped on, I was like, oh, stoked to see this person. You know, like, and we don't even know each other. So I'm stoked because you're a motherfucker that paid what I paid to go and do something that not a lot of tattooers will pay for. Because tattooers are cheap motherfuckers. We don't want to pay for shit. We don't want to get better at anything. We just want to be better at it. And we want to be better than you.
I was fortunate enough I was actually sponsored. I don't know if you know who like Million is, Michael. I don't know if it's McGo or McGay, but
yeah. So
yeah,
maybe.
Million. He's in Tattoo Mastery. He was in the last round, and I think he's in next level, but I'm not 100% sure.
He's not in this round of next level. That's okay. Going on.
Yeah, because he sponsored me because he reached out and was like telling me about TBM and how I should do it, and because I was in like a really dark place, and he could see that, and I was just kind of like isolating myself more and more. And he was like, you need to do this. And at first I said no, because I had a really hard time like accepting and receiving. And he reached back out and was like a couple months later, after his class had already like gone 2/3 of the way through, and was like, you need to do this. Like, I'm not taking no for an answer. I don't care like how this happens, like, you're doing this. So he went ahead and like, he paid Matt for me to be a part of TBM. And it was just like really special. And like, I didn't want to let him down. So like, I really wanted to put in like extra work and just show up and like be there, be present. And it was really awesome because I never really had anybody like believe in me that much, like before I even believed in myself. And I'm really glad that he did, though, because it really has been like a really life-changing opportunity. And yeah, so like, I know I didn't pay, but.
Okay, so now let me fucking jump on you and ask you, how can you have the feelings of buying your fucking friends when a friend that you made saw the light in you shining bright and paid for you to be there?
Well, it was just like one class I didn't pay for. I've had dozens of workshops that I have paid for, but things just like drastically changed in a year. Like, man, you guys really push people to get into their feelings. Like, I'm not like, so I apologize if this is like sharing too much, but like, you know, a year ago I went from like a $25,000 nest egg and everything was like good, and now I'm on food stamps.
That's okay. That's your fucking journey, homie. When I broke my leg off, people were fucking paying my bills with GoFundMe. I lost friends because people fucking hated me because the GoFundMe money they were giving me wasn't going towards hospital bills that I never claimed it to go to. You know, like.
Oh.
I went bankrupt like 4 years ago, like full on bankrupt. No money. I mean,
right.
If it wasn't for my wife, I'd be on food stamps. But I'm getting a little bit better now. It's been 4 years since I've been working it back. But you know, in some ways it's, I mean, obviously it's rough, but learning how to reduce all of your expenses down to the very bare minimums is not necessary. I mean, it's a rough thing. And like I said, I'm practically still in it. I'm just getting out of it. But I mean, basically when COVID happened and everyone was like fucking closing up and losing their jobs and shit, I was like, I already lost mine. I'm already broke. Like I was literally like 6 months out of bankruptcy. And so, you know, it's yeah, again, it's rough, but there's only one way out of it is to keep working, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah. And I definitely learned to be resourceful. I can appreciate that.
And put the shame away. Like, there's no the shame. Dude, you've got me and Gabe both just told you parts of our stories. And there's way more bad to both of our stories.
Oh yeah.
Mine too. I can say that like I've been there too, you know, pregnant when you're trying to figure out, is it a banana or a salad? Like, you know, it gets really tough. But the thing is that, you know, if you've experienced good, in my opinion, the amount of money you have, even though it is definitely helpful, but like I say it all the time, you experience diminishing happiness with the more money you have. So essentially the thing that you're searching for, you have already, the access to happiness. Yeah, it might kind of suck with like things and the food stamps and pulling out that card, you know, with like people behind you or whatever, but that's definitely temporary. You almost should cherish it to know that this moment you'll probably never get back to.
Yeah. And like, in making a connection to like, I had a lot of shame around losing my leg and wearing a prosthetic and stuff like that. But now, like, one of my main truths is not only do I inspire people because of my prosthetic, but like, I'm going to inspire them to not stop. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the worst things that's ever fucking happened to me turned out to be a blessing that keeps paying back, you know? So don't hold yourself accountable for being at this spot right now. Like, you're here, man. That's the journey. Love yourself through that. You need love right now the most, you know, like that's one of the biggest things. So I saw James a while ago, and so I love that your name is James Wisdom. So I would love to hear some things you have to say, sir.
Hi, James.
Hi, James.
Hey everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, thanks for having me on, Robbie. I guess I really I've been listening to your story and everybody else's story too, and I really relate to it. I definitely feel those feelings. I definitely feel the, you know, that like imposter syndrome, and it's hard to deal with. I don't know if I ever really deal with it all the way, you know, but I guess maybe talking about it with others is like a really healthy thing to do, so that way you don't, you know, you don't like go through it alone, you know.
Well, as I've said before, Ashley is a specialist in the imposter syndrome stuff, so I'd love to hear, you know, you weigh in on some of this too, because if you're an artist, if you're a creative, if you're a human, you probably you've experienced it.
Thank you for that. I really let that land. And SJ, I just see you so fully, and I hear you and I understand what you're going through, especially from the lack scarcity place. And I want to say that what I think is the most helpful thing to remember is like you're literally on the planet for a reason. You were here to be an artist and to bring your muse, your spirit to the world. And so I think when you heal imposter syndrome, what it actually is it's compounded courage over time. So it's every time I make the decision to do this work, it's every day I'm going to show up for this fucking art that was meant to be in the world. And so it's just the radical personal responsibility of choice. Am I going to let life and whatever it is dictate how I'm feeling about myself, or am I going to love myself so wholly and completely that I'm never going to stop no matter what anyone says, whether it's my own ego voice or if it's someone outside of me. So I just want to give you permission to be bigger, to ask for more, to be fucking seen, to be heard. Just be it because we need you, right? And again, it's the courage over time. Your imposter syndrome, it will dwindle the more that you do this. It doesn't mean it's easy. It means it's fucking hard and you can do it.
Damn.
I know everything she says is so powerful.
Fucking mic drop.
Yes,
Thank
like
you.
the stories, all of it. Thank you.
And I think too, it's just like your ego loves you so much, it wants to protect you. So it's going to tell you everything to keep you small and to tell you and reinforce all the reasons why you can't have her do the thing. So it's like, I see my ego and like, thank you for loving me so much. And also I'm here like with a purpose, with a mission, but you have to choose the other voice. And what's that voice? It's your heart's voice, right? You know what that sounds like, but you got to choose.
Dude, you just like helped me with my relationship in that statement. Like, you know, because I get so mad at my chick because she's always worried about everything. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're making me scared all the time. You know? But it's really, you love me so much for helping, for trying to protect me. Thank you. You know, but fear is such a fucking primary emotion. Jason, I saw you jump in here. This is open forum as fuck, man. It's very cut and dry. We're talking about our feelings, and that makes it very not cut and dry. So
yeah, because that's a very simplistic concept right there. Let me tell you. Feelings, confusing.
We were talking about it the other day. Maybe you guys could shed some light in a way. We were talking about creating your own emotional palette with complementary emotions. So say like you're feeling really, I just used a basic emotion of sad, or you could say fearful, but what type of emotion could complement that to create a beautiful picture? We were talking about the importance of muted tones or muted feelings. And Jason brought up the notion that without some of those muted tones, you wouldn't understand the value or beauty of some of the other tones.
So
I
you
don't know
have
if
to
anyone
learn to
wants to
appreciate it. You do.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the important thing though is to first identify what emotions it is that you're feeling, right?
Right.
Because without identifying that and without sitting back and saying, no, I'm not angry, I'm frustrated, right? I'm not angry, I'm not, absolutely livid at this person, I'm just confused as to why they did that. Without identifying that first, you can't really start to categorize, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I'm coming from a background, my mom has her master's in psychology. She's been messing with my head since I was like a little guy. Like she's done a number on me. So it was one of those, like, I just want to break things. She would say, okay, but why? I'm not saying you can't. I'm just, why do you want to break things? Are you really angry? Is that what it is? Or are you frustrated? Are you frustrated because you can't accomplish this? Are you confused as to why all of the work that you're putting in isn't paying off yet? Identify these emotions first, take them, and then start putting them into categories. Start saying, okay, I had, a few moments today where I felt extremely scared because I was venturing out of my comfort zone. So that's a good thing, right? So that's healthy fear, right? If there is such a thing. I'm kind of just going off on this, but it's a healthy type of being uncomfortable with the situation that you're in, right? It's good because it's going to, things are going to work out all right, but it's something new that you're trying. You don't know how it's going to go, but it'll still be okay in the end, right? So I always like to take that, and then I'll say, okay, I had a couple of instances like this today, and I used to do a lot of journaling. So like I used to literally write down with Sharpies, and I would put, 3 blue dots for anxiety, 2 red dots for fear, a couple of green dots for confusion, and I would literally have journal entry pages, and I would just have colored dots at the top. And I started to keep track of those over time, and I found that once I could accurately identify what emotions I was feeling, I could then go through and start to say, okay, I haven't really been angry a lot, but there's been a lot of things I've been confused about. Now I can go through and start to assess that and address that. And I can start to explore, okay, what's really confusing me about all of these different things? Is there a common theme? Is there a thread? Is there something that ties all of these together? Was it a common event, or a significant event in my life that's gone through and created all of these thoughts? And they're over everyone's life, and I'm sure everyone here can agree. There's significant events that happen, that will cause you to feel anxiety. They will cause you to feel fear, like dreadful fear. There's going to be a whole bunch of things that are going to confuse you to absolutely no end, right? Why did this happen? Why is this the way things are? There's going to be times in your life where that happens. And, so maybe you can trace all of these days with all of these little colored dots. That's what I ended up doing, back to significant events, that created these emotions. And then once you can identify that, you can start to address that. So there's a whole lot of like rabbit holes you can dive down with this kind of thing. The human mind and emotions have always fascinated me. So I've always tried to be very careful about what am I feeling? When am I feeling it? Like I was a little intimidated by jumping on here today. Number one, because I came in 45 minutes late. So I kind of felt bad about that, but it's like, okay, well, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to see how it goes.
Well, dude, I mean, I'm going to thank you first off, because what you just dropped is fucking brilliant. It's fucking, like that was such like a diligent way of being careful about your feelings and digging through who you are as a human and turning it into a scientific yet fun experiment to decode how to not be the things you don't want to be and be more of the things you want to be. So like, fucking brilliant.
Yeah, and that was my whole thing. I gamified it, right? Yeah. And when you gamify things, people have fun, right? And it doesn't matter what it is. When you can gamify it and you can say, oh, okay, so red dots were -2 points, green dots were +2 points, and blue dots were +3 points, right? Okay, well, I made out today. I made out like a bandit today because I got +10 points, and you're like, all right, let's see if I can get a high score tomorrow. Let's see what's going on, right? Now it becomes a challenge. Now you're challenging yourself, but at the same time, you're identifying these things. And it's like, it's a very precise way to go about doing it, but it requires a lot of self-reflection. Like for the longest time, I didn't know the difference between anger and frustration. I didn't for, the first 20 years of my life, I would just get angry.
Yeah.
I didn't know the difference.
Anger is one of my go-to emotions. You're scared, you're confused, you feel lost, you feel unloved. Anyway, dude, I'm big. I'm a big human physically. So the easiest thing to do is to get that significance that I'm feeling that I don't have by being angry. Because people listen to the big angry motherfucker with the gruff voice in the room. You know what I'm saying? So it's been this weird journey for me to figure out how to not be that human. Like I went to this healing workshop a couple months ago, and the universe works in great ways. I tattooed a human. They told me, oh yeah, we throw these workshops. And I'm like, oh yeah, I need to heal a lot of things. So I went to this workshop, and there's one instance from the 3-day event. They have you stand in front of these cue cards in a circle and act out what's on the cue card. When I got to anger, I made sure I stayed behind the box, like I wasn't going to step into that box. As soon as I had to, that meant I had to start acting out anger. And then I fucking bawled my dick off.
Yeah.
I fucking cried hard, scared as fuck. Because I'm like, dude, I didn't even realize how much my anger was. It scares me. And then I'm like, oh, dude, that opened me up to some whole nother other shit on how to deal with that anger. Because now it's like, wow, it's a scary thing. It's scary for me, but I also know it gives me significance. So how do I fill that significance need? You know, and a lot of the time it's just asking yourself, why are you mad? You know, take a step back. What are you actually mad about? Oh, you're not. You're scared as fuck. You know?
I don't want to say too. I don't want to like speak too much or anything or take too much time, but also like if you keep resorting to those emotions, your body doesn't know the difference. It just goes back to that. It becomes a comfort level. It becomes your temperament. If you keep resorting to those, like, you know, if insecure feelings or anger or things like that.
Right.
And it really takes a lot of.
That's conditioning. It's emotional conditioning.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, oh, wait, this is my default. Got to go back there.
Right.
You know, even though you might want to cry, but it's like, but my default is anger. I need to break something. I need to smash something. Right.
And crying makes me look like a bitch. Anger makes me look like a badass. You know?
Right. Hence the stereotypical, you know, mentality there. You know, it's like, you know, I can't be seen as, you know, crying. That we don't do that. Yeah. Well, yes, we do.
We do,
and we do it a lot sometimes.
A lot. Dude, like, before you got on, I was saying, you know, I had an employee quit this week, and it ended kind of badly to a degree. I did my best to keep it amicable. It couldn't be amicable. Then I did my best to not fucking retaliate. And, you know, and I'm sure he feels very victimized too, right? So, like, we all had our own places in it. But it's just, dude, every day I've had, like, heavy tears, you know, like, because it's a relationship that you've invested so much in, and especially when you're the owner, you know, and your name's behind everything, and you're fucking putting your name behind all these people, and you know, you want at least to make them feel loved and supported and cared for, and if they leave, then you fucked up. So all these tears have been coming a lot, and you know, the good thing about tears is you need them. You do. I was going to say, just coming from the opposite end of the spectrum, a couple of years ago, I left a studio I was with for 10 plus years, you know, where I had these deep seated relationships with a lot of these people. The one guy that I used to work with is still my emergency contact. So if anything ever happens to me, like, he knows where I live, he knows how to get in. Like, if no one hears from me for a few days, everyone's instructed, call this guy, right? I don't even work with him anymore, but, you know, still a great guy. But I mean, long story short, and I'm trying not to tie up too much time here, is that, you know, sometimes it's not about, you know, feeling like you messed up. Sometimes it's just time for a change. Right. You know, I've been a huge advocate of the philosophy that circumstances and things aren't inherently good or bad. They are what we ascribe to them, right? Yeah. Water bottle, not inherently good or bad. It's neutral, right? You fill it with water, you throw it in the freezer, and then you whack someone over the head with it. It's bad. You know, you fill it with water, you throw it in the freezer, and then you take it with you out to the beach because you're going to the beach and you want to have a nice cold bottle of water. Good thing, right?
Ice bottles don't hurt people. People hurt people.
Yes.
Touche. I will give you that.
No, but hey, Renee's here. Renee, can you turn your camera sideways?
Hey,
yeah. Much better.
There we go.
Hello, Renee.
Hi, Robbie.
How are you doing?
Me and Robbie haven't seen each other in a long time.
I know, dude. Dude, once again, so Gabe, I said this earlier, but thank you for allowing me to use your platform to facilitate something like this. I think it's really awesome. I love that.
Thank Guy.
What's that?
Thank Guy. I helped do the geeky bit, but
I shall. And I love that everybody's.
It's one of the reasons why. So Renee's on here. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say real quick.
Yeah,
Renee's on because in like 5 or 10 minutes, we're shifting gears to the paint night show.
Oh shit.
So everybody-
Okay. Well then, hey, thanks everybody for coming through. Renee, it's so good to see you. I love you.
I love you too.
We have 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, in 5 or 10 minutes. I'm just here to
Yeah.
like catch a wind of this because Gabe like grabbed me from the field and was like, "Hey, get on this." I was like, "Oh,
Hell yeah.
cool."
So we did actually have a YouTube comment that I thought was very insightful from Zach Aaron, who said
That's-
years
That's the
years
dude
of
that
toxic.
video for Mad for a while, for a long time, years ago. Yeah, that's so great. So,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Zach.
Years of toxic masculinity as a dude. Many of our dads didn't know healthy coping mechanisms, neither did their dads. And it's really just been in the last 10 years we are seeing the impact of it. Right? Ashley's nodding her head like, yeah, absolutely. You know,
Yeah,
I
dude.
think, identifying those toxic traits is it's profound because, I came, from a family situation where, it was toxic after toxic after toxic, further on down the line, because that's what was expected.
Yeah.
That's the way things were. That's who you
Yeah.
were if you were a man, and if you were a dad, you treated certain situations in certain ways, but I think I have to agree. I think it's within the past 10, 15 years, we're starting to realize that just because that's the way it's always been done doesn't mean it has to stay that way.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we
I'm
should
breaking-
definitely be reinventing the wheel. The
Yeah.
wheel sucks.
Or the tattoo.
Yeah.
The tattoo.
You're allowed one of those.
Reinventing the government.
Oh
Right.
yeah, let's talk about revolution. I'm down.
I'm
I'm
there.
ready.
I'm there. When are we going? When are we marching?
I'm
I'm in.
gonna start by because we've been doing that. So like we gotta think like more adult like let's be real passive aggressive, and just like stop paying our taxes, but say we did. Be like, no,
But I've been
really
saving
I
up
did.
all these glass bottles for Molotov cocktails for like 6 months now. What am I supposed to do with them? Big brother, I'm joking, by the way. I know you're listening, big brother. That was a joke. I do not have a whole bunch of glass bottles saved up to make Molotov cocktails. I do not.
Just
I
start
swear.
filling them with love and candy.
Just don't come to my house
Uh,
anytime soon until I can get rid of them. Sorry, I'm a goofball, so.
no,
Oh
man.
yeah, goofball.
We all are. Huh?
One of the things I was talking about with a girl who came in to work with me today, so we were kind of meeting for the first time. We were talking about like a self-inventory to kind of come to the realization of your value. There's different like ways to do that, and there was something that I read about where it was like, a really long questionnaire would take you hours to go through, but you take your own self-inventory of your own qualities, and then it kind of brings to light, wow, I'm way more valuable than I thought. Way more valuable than my bank account or the workshops that I go to or the people that I hang out with and stuff like that. So I would encourage you to kind of look into that and maybe go down that route for yourself.
I did something like that in a financial way. I'm going to see if I have it with me. I did it the other day because I was like really want to try to like value to myself or give like the reason to myself why I can charge the way I do and like what my benefits are. It was something like that, but it was like 3 steps, like a quickie. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. And it's like, yeah, it's like looking at your life currently and then assessing like, I don't know, it's very different to look upon yourself than judge others, and to really like see like what your value is to the planet and yourself. Like, how will people remember you when you die kind of thing. I have the habit of like doing busy work so much that I have to like step back and go like, oh wait, what I'm really good at though. Like I should probably focus more on that. But I can't find it. No, I failed.
No, man. I didn't even think of doing like that, things like that. Like I do things like that, but in like the what value do I add to this world? That's really smart, because
Mhm.
every time somebody's listed who I am to them, it sounds pretty cool, But if
Yeah.
I in my head or like it's so hard to like actually feel it when from the outside perspective. So that's cool.
Mhm.
I hate to be
It's like,
the fellow who's clicking the buttons and telling everybody to shift over, but at 6 o'clock, which is in like 4 minutes, is Renee's paint night. I did put the Zoom link in the chat here. So if anybody wants to continue this conversation, that would probably be the way to do it.
Oh,
And then,
yeah.
so now I suppose it would be the time to close out the show and invite everybody back for more next week at 5 o'clock, eh?
yeah.
I'm
All right.
in.
So Ashley
I'm
Montour, thank you so much for being here. Your energy, your presence, your words, your insight, it's all so valuable. It's all so loved and appreciated. So, and thank you for being able to just jump on last second. I feel honored that you would spend that time with us. Gabe, once again, thank you, and Guy, for doing this. Lauren, Jason, I appreciate you guys for being a part of it too. SJ, thank you for sharing, dog. Like that was some deep shit, and I really appreciated that. And James, man, great to meet you. I'm stoked that you guys all showed up today. Renee, I'm stoked that you accidentally got to jump in. That was fucking awesome. Fucking happy accident as fuck. And
yeah, for real.
we do this every Monday, 5 o'clock on reinventingthetattoo.com. So if you're watching this on a replay, check it out next time. I'm Robbie Ripoll with the Rad Movement in Rad Inc., Florida. Ashley Mondor is my beautifully wonderful esteemed guest. If you want to shout out some of your things, go ahead and hit that right quick.
Oh my God, if you feel like hanging out with me, I'm on Instagram at ashley.molndor. Hey, that's where I hang out. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Well, the link for the next show is also on the homepage of reinventingthetattoo.com. Just click on the upcoming events, and we've got the Google Calendar. You click on the date. It's the 27th already. I don't know how the fuck that happened, but it happened.
Right.
And yeah, we'll catch up with everybody on the next Zoom. Cheers.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody.
Cheers.
I don't know who has
Bye,
the
nice meeting you,
I'll get the
Thank
Vimeo.
you.
I'll get the Vimeo, Gabe.
Thanks, Lauren.
Okay, see y'all there.
See ya.
Here I am.
I'm gonna jump on now.
Bye,
Hey,
Robbie.
Robbie, you're I'm glad that you are doing this. I do some shows too with Gabe on these things. I started working with Reinventing a couple years ago. So if you ever have any tech questions or any like setup stuff or like equipment stuff to, or anything, just let me know.
Dude, thank you, because I'm like on my phone. That's how I do everything.
Okay. Well, I could send you like even an Amazon card if you want to get like if you want to hook your camera,
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to like eventually run it off a microphone, computer,
Yeah.
and the different camera stuff. So yeah, I'd love to talk about stuff like that in the future.
Yeah, I'm at home. My setup, obviously is not here, but last minute stuff. But yeah, I would love to, and I'm really happy to be having you on board and stuff with all of us.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been a scary thing to do, getting so vulnerable and putting something out you don't know people are going to show up to. So
it doesn't even matter. I mean, like it's always about like if it impacts you or one other person, it's a success. Right. But I'm happy to see you here, and I'll maybe see you next week.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to be here.